Now let's look at this next 2. Okay, if you count what place it's in, here's ones, here's tens, here's hundreds. So the 2 is in the hundreds place, but it's also in the second group. So when you talk about its place value, you need to put what place it's in, like hundreds, and then the name of the group. So the 2 is in the hundred thousands place. It's in the hundred thousands place. And if you want to see the value of that, if you had 200 thousands, you have 200,000, like this. Now let's look at the other number up here I have circled. I have the 9 circled. So let's talk about its place value. Since the 9 is in the first place after the comma here, it's in the ones place. So its place is 1, and then we need to see what group it's in. Well, since we're 3 groups over, remember the third group over is the millions group. So we have 9 1 millions. So we have 9 1 millions. Now often when it's 1 something, we just leave that word off and say we have 9 millions. Or if you wanted to write the value of that, you would write your 9 million. But the place value is actually millions or 1 millions. Something I forgot to tell you is that as we're viewing the tapes, I'll always, in the upper left hand or maybe sometimes right hand corner, put the number of the lesson that we're working on. This is lesson 1, so I have 001 up here. You'll always see a number on the tapes, and that's the lesson that we're on. Now, something else that you're sometimes asked to do with whole numbers is to write them in expanded form. So we want to take the number 43,704 and write it in expanded form. So let's look and see what expanded form means. Expanded notation is the sum of the meanings of all the digits in a number. It's the sum of the meanings of all the digits in a number. So what we have to do, if we're going to write a number in expanded notation, is to take each individual digit and write what that digit means. So if we started with the 4 is in the tens place and it's in the thousands group. So we have 4 10,000s, which actually means then that we'd end up having 40,000. 40,000. The 3 is in the 1,000s place, so we have 3,000. So we take our 40,000 and add the 3,000s to it. Sum here means to add up the meanings of all the digits in a number. Then if we go on over to the 7, there's 700s. 700s just gives us 700, so we put our 700 down. Then we have 0 tens, so we could just leave it out or put plus 0. And then we have 4 ones, which means we have 4. So our number written in expanded form is 40,000 plus 3,000 plus 700 plus 0 plus 4. We're adding up the meanings of all the digits. And if you actually added all that back together, you would end up with 43,704. Now I'd like us to start with some word names and see if we can decide how to write the number that goes with the word name. Okay, this word name is 7,025,300. Now, when we're trying to decide how to write this, we need to remember about the groups that we have and that there are 3 digits in each group. So, if I need to go all the way over to the millions group, because that's my last group, I've got to have a group, I've got to have 3 digits in my first group, then I've got to have 3 digits in my thousands group, and then I've got to get to my millions group. Okay, so since I'm starting with millions, I've got to get to my millions group. So I've got my first group, thousands, and millions. Now we want to write 7 million. Now actually, the very last group, your millions, will not necessarily use up all 3 of its digits, so I only need to write down the 7. You would generally not see 007, so we'll just write 7. And then in the next group, we want to see 25,000. Now I have to use up all 3 of those places, but I want to see 25 when I look there. So I'll see 25. I have to put a 0 in to hold this place. Then I write 25. And that makes me have 25,000. And then when I come to my last group I'm supposed to see 300. So I can just write 300. So I'm going to rewrite this without the spaces. And that's the way you would see the number. And of course you read it, 7,025,300. Now let's look at another one and see if we can do it. We want to write 204,030,006 in numerical form. This time, my first group is supposed to be 204 billion. So since I want billions, it's going to take 4 groups. Remember, the first group doesn't have a name, so let's put the first group. My second group is my thousands. My third group is my millions. And my fourth group would be my billions. I had to run out of room here, spreading these little spaces out too far. Now, okay, so what I'm supposed to be writing is 204 billion. So I need to write 204. So you can see the 204. That's my billion. Now I have 30,000. But I have a problem here. This next group is my millions group. And I don't see anything with millions up there. So what I have to do is fill in 3 zeros in the millions group to hold the place. And then I can write my 30,000. Now when I come over to my thousands group, I want to see 30. So I have to put a 0 and then 30, and that means I'll see 30 there. And then in my last group, I'm supposed to see 6. So I've got to put 2 zeros and a 6. So if we write this without the spaces, without the little blanks, you'll see 204 billion 30,006. Now, if I had left those zeros out and written 204, 030, 006, see what would have happened is I'd had to now go back and put new commas in, and then that would have made my number 204,030,006. So if I want my number to be 204 billion 30,006, I'm going to have to put these 3 zeros in to let you know that there are not supposed to be any millions there.